We've been talking about the 4 foundations of mindfulness over the past few weeks. And today I want to talk about the third, which is the mindfulness of mind as mind. So, as you might recall, the first foundation of mindfulness is body as body. And we talked about the foundation of breath and then our bodies, and how that's really the core of our practice. And then we talked last week about mindfulness of feelings as feelings, feelings as feelings. Today we're going to talk about mind as mind. So what do we mean when we say mind? I want to start with simply the Buddha's words from the sutra. And this is coming from the Plum Village tradition, and their translation on the sutra. This is from the discourse on the 4 foundations or establishments of mindfulness. I heard these words of the Buddha one time when he was living at Kamasadama, a market town of the Kuru people. The Buddha addressed the bhikkhus, "O bhikkhus." And the bhikkhus replied, "Venerable Lord." And the Buddha said, "Bhikkhus, there's a most wonderful way to help living beings realize purification, overcome directly grief and sorrow, end pain and anxiety, travel the right pathway, and realize nirvana. This way is the 4 foundations of mindfulness." And what are the 4 foundations of mindfulness? 1. Bhikkhus, a practitioner remains established in the observation of the body, in the body, diligent, with clear understanding, mindful, having abandoned every craving and every distaste for life. 2. Bhikkhu remains established in the observation of feelings as feelings, diligent, with clear understanding, mindful, having abandoned every craving and distaste for life. 3. We remain established in the observation of the mind in the mind, diligent, with clear understanding, mindful, having abandoned every craving and every distaste for life. And 4, we remain established in the observation of the objects of mind in the mind, diligent, with clear understanding, mindful, having abandoned every craving and every distaste for this life. This is from the section on mind or mental formations. Bhikkhus, how does a practitioner remain established in the observation of the mind in the mind? These are the words of the Buddha. When our mind is desiring, the practitioner is aware, my mind is desiring. When our mind is not desiring, we are aware, my mind is not desiring. We are aware in the same way concerning a hating mind, a confused mind, a collected mind, a dispersed mind, an expansive mind, a narrow mind, the highest mind, and a concentrated and liberated mind. This is how the practitioner remains established in the observation of the mind in the mind. Observation of the mind from within or from without, or observation of the mind from both within and without. We remain established in the observation of the process of coming to be in the mind, or the process of dissolution of the mind, in both the process of coming to be and the process of dissolution. Are we we are mindful of the fact there is mind here until understanding and full awareness come about. We remain established in the observation, free, not caught in any worldly considerations. This is how to practice observation of the mind in the mind, O bhikkhus. We used a lot of incense today from service, so it got made me cough. Sorry about that. So what is mind? Mind in the way that I learned in Japan, and the way that we see mind in many different cultures, is here. Mind is here. It's not heart as we think of heart, the organ, but it's heart in its most expansive sense. Wide, aware, spacious. Here. You know, in the West, we think of mind as here, our brain. Our brain is what helps us to think, but it's not the center. Mind is here. So what is mind? The question is still here. Last week we talked about mindfulness of feelings as feelings, and feelings are mental formations as well. What is mind? Mind is the mental formations that are remaining, the others. So the other psychological phenomena, if you will, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. Perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. Mind is big, aware, spacious, encompassing. When we think of how to practice, when we're taught how to practice, one of the instructions we've received is to really let our thinking mind, our active mind, settle down, settle down, settle down. When our thinking mind starts to settle, we can see very clearly. This is awareness. And this awareness is not like a thing that we do, any more than breath. Following the breath is a thing that we do. Sometimes we think we can separate these out, but I want to take this time right now to say that as we follow the breath, and you might have noticed this, as we follow the breath, things come up. What comes up? Feelings, thoughts, perceptions, formations. These things are all part of the process. These are all the way that we live. And when we get stuck, it's when we get attached to things. We grab. So as Uchiyama Roshi says, the way to ease suffering is to open the hand of thought. Not to push away the thoughts or the feelings or the other phenomena, not to push them away, get rid of it and have some sort of a pure, stripped down version. That would be really unbalanced. But to open to the spaciousness of all of it. So today we practiced that in the meditation practice this morning, shifting our attention from focusing on the breath as the object of meditation to focusing on the dynamic nature of our thoughts, our mind, as a focus. So not what we're thinking about, but just that things shift. because things shift. Things shift. Everything is constantly changing. This is the one thing we know for absolutely for sure in Buddhism. So back to mental formations, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness are what we're talking about today in terms of mind. Mental formations can be sometimes mental, from our emotion or thinking, sometimes physical or psychological. What are some of them? There's the objects of our mindful focus, our observation. So what comes up for us? There's a lot. There's 22 named in the sutra, so I'm going to just offer them up as some context. Desire. So I just talked about that. Wanting or grabbing, that's desire. Anger, disturbance, limitedness, feel like a feeling of lack. Narrowness, getting too narrow. A lack of concentration. Dullness or distraction. Agitation and remorse. Doubts, lack of freedom. And then also the opposites of these. What are they? Not desiring, not hating, non-ignorance, non-disturbance, unlimitedness, tolerance, freedom, concentration, absence of doubt, absence of dullness, absence of agitation. And also distaste, peace, ease, joy, mindfulness, and letting go. You might be surprised, huh? Maybe you thought, I want to get rid of anger, ignorance, limitedness, desire, grabbing. I want to get rid of all that, but I want to keep non-hating, peace, joy, distaste, ease. Yeah, those are good. I like those. I want to keep those, but I want to get rid of the others. We're not holding on to any of it. When we're thinking too much, when we're grabbing on, we're thinking too much, even beneficial thoughts, even things that we think are helpful, this is still grabbing. And this really tires the body and strains our quality of mind. And when mind is strained, we're so far from concentration. And as you might recall, it's our concentrated mind that allows us to wake up. The moment of awakening, the Buddha said, with my concentrated mind, my concentrated mind. So we're focusing on the breath as the object of concentration, but we're doing so with an awareness, a spaciousness, concentration, insight, focus, spaciousness. And it's this dynamic balance of the two that allows us to practice, that fuels our practice. And we don't need words. We don't have to name the thoughts that are coming up. We don't have to name the formations. We have to only observe them. We have to observe. So let's think about one of those, let's think of something that we desire. And let's make it, physical so that it's easy for us. So I don't know how many of y'all like ice cream, but let's pick ice cream or chocolate, something that you desire that's physical, a thing. So in the mouth, things happen, physical sensations, spreads. Maybe even when we first saw it, look at that. Whoa, something, often round, Maybe it has colors in it. And maybe we can smell a little, put it in the mouth. There's a sensation, touch. And then it melts. And this taste spreads. And maybe it triggers things for us like, I remember that time with my grandma, or maybe just, I like this, I don't like this, or I'm neutral. Can we back up to the pure sensation? Can we? Is it possible? I want to argue that it's possible. We can back up. And it's this pure sensation that's the experience in this present moment that is why we practice. This moment right in front of us. You know, the Buddha said, start with what's right, what's in the front. Start with what's in the front. That's the present moment. This present moment, everything is possible. We don't need to label, to add, to create ideas about what we like or what we don't like, or what we, even what's neutral. But we can observe those things. We can observe it. In Zen, we have the teachings of first nen, second nen, third nen. So the pure experience, taking it. Second nen is usually when we label it, name it, ice cream. And the third is, I like ice cream, you know. The third is when we go off, you know. Oh yeah, really, that reminds me of the time that I had ice cream with my grandma. Or, man, why do they have to give me chocolate? I don't like chocolate ice cream. I like this other kind. Or, why do they got to serve ice cream? You know, I'm lactose intolerant. I can't have ice cream. So there's our mind just going off. Can we observe mind as mind? Can we? Constantly changing, dynamic, moving. Can we observe mind as mind? I think, you know, in our practice, as we develop concentration, it happens very naturally. We don't really have to think about it. It just happens. Consciousness is always changing. It's impermanent. It's a basic awareness. It's like I mentioned before, a spaciousness that holds everything, that notices, oh wow, today there's a whole bunch of thoughts. Oh, right now in this moment, not so many thoughts. But we don't need those words to identify that. We can be aware of it. You know, are your thoughts today in this moment like a waterfall? Just rushing, rushing, rushing? More like a stream? Like a still pool? We can observe that without even needing to call it anything. That's awareness, and this is mind. The mind is non-physical phenomena that perceives, thinks, recognizes, experiences, reacts. Clear and formless. Clear and formless. Luminous. Knowing. It's not like I mentioned, it's not stored in some place in the body. You know, sometimes we think it's here, but it's not. It's an awareness that pervades everything. And mind doesn't exist all by itself. You know, nothing does. Nothing exists by itself. Sometimes we think mind, it has this fixed quality, but it doesn't. It's shifting, and it has no independent existence. You know, like the example with the ice cream, we don't notice mind until it interacts with an object. We have this senses, and then we have contact with an object, and this is what brings us into an awareness of it. But mind doesn't have a consciousness all by itself. So, you know, just the ice cream is the object that allows us sight, smell, taste, touch, consciousness. Mind is vast and wide, not separate from breath, not separate from body, not separate from feelings, not in need of words to give it substance. There's no substance here. In fact, the words actually, when we start to add words in, they actually block our awareness of what's going on in our minds. So what are we aware of? We're aware of our desires, of where we cling, what we hold on to, our longing. We're aware of our desires, of our longings. Sometimes we call this our needs. What are our needs? What do we really need? What are our needs? Are there our wants or our needs? Aware of our longing, as Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh says. We're also aware of our non-longing. Aware of everything. I'm going to return to the words of Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. I've been using his book called Transformation and Healing, along with a couple of other books to refresh my memory on this. The 4 Foundations of Mindfulness in plain English is another one. And I can share those with you afterwards if you want. So, observing the desiring mind. When our mind is desiring, practitioners are aware our mind is desiring, our mind is wanting. And when our mind is not desiring, we're aware our mind is not desiring. Again, not the words, we're not pasting on the words, but we're aware. We have a very spacious awareness. Desire, clinging, means to be caught up in unwholesome longing. So form, sound, smell, taste, touch are the objects of the 5 kinds of sense desires. What are they? Desire for money, for sex, for fame, for delicious things to eat, and for sleep. Money, sex, fame, delicious foods, sleep are the 5 desires. And these 5 categories of desire, and again, these are the words of Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, the 5 categories, from the words of the sutra, the 5 categories of desire produce obstacles on the path of practice, as well as many kinds of physical and mental suffering. As I'm sure you know, just hearing those named: money, sex, fame, delicious things to eat, and sleep. They cause obstacles on the path, as well as many kinds of physical and mental suffering. So when our mind and thoughts turn to desiring, we immediately give rise to the awareness of the presence of that mind in our practice. This is the mind longing for money, for wealth. Oh, look at this. This is the mind of sexual desire. This is the mind that wants fame and great reputation. I want people to think I'm special. This is the mind wanting delicious things to eat. And this is the root of it. Where is this coming from? So the sutra teaches us, the 4 Foundations of Mindfulness teaches us that when desiring is not present, we also need to observe that. So something like this. This is the mind that's not wanting everyone to like me. It's not invested in that. At this time, sexual desire is not present. Right now, the desire for wealth is not here. So we're also aware of that Not thinking it, not saying it, but simply aware of it. The Buddha said that, people often confuse desire with happiness. And this is a trap for us. We think that whatever we desire, when we get it, we're going to be happy. Well, as soon as I publish that book and I get on the New York Times bestseller list, and then I'm going to feel good. I'm going to be happy. But this is a trap for us. It gets us into this idea of wanting, which is insatiable, right? No, there's no end to that. So what we try to do in our practice, and again, coming back to our breath, coming back to the present moment, letting go of our thoughts, not judging, watching them, letting them go, aware of whatever comes up, aware of mind, aware of feelings. All of these things bring us back into this moment. And as we do this, we develop a feeling of contentment and ease. Contentment and ease. Whatever we have is okay. Right here, right now. The times when our thoughts are active, it's okay. Times when our desires are strong, look at that. The times when we're spacious and at ease, look at that. Not grabbing there either. Letting go of absolutely everything. Returning to center. To this moment. Starting in the front. Present moment. This is in Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh's book, but quoting from the text. The section dealing with observing the mind in the mind. In the Sutra of 42 chapters, our practice is the practice of non-practice. The practitioner does not rely on anything at all, does not give rise to thoughts of the world. Because there is no arising of such thoughts, there is no more fear. Because there's no more fear, no residue of the afflictions is left, and nirvana is realized. Sound familiar, huh? Just like in the Heart Sutra, having no obstacles, we let go of fear, liberating ourselves forever. This is what the practice has to offer us. The ability to let go, to be aware of what's here, without holding, without clinging, which, causes us to suffer. We can simply open the hand of thought. Cultivating concentration and insight, the mind of awareness. What is in this moment. And as we do so, as we understand this moment is just as it is, all those things that we worry about, that we're afraid of, that we're consumed by, start to relax, to open, to let go. This is what mindfulness of mind as mind has to offer us. spaciousness, present moment, holding on to absolutely nothing.